Good evening, everybody.
Oh, good evening.
I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:58 p.m. Let's move into roll call. Eric Bennett.
Here.
Joey Bryant.
Here.
Maddie Crowell.
Here.
Julia Felici.
Here.
Shelby Hamblin.
Here.
Alex Horning.
Here.
Dr. Martin Kennedy.
Here.
Lacey Lampkins.
Here.
Renee Skiles.
Here.
Patrick Stanton.
Here.
Stephanie Tretchell.
Here.
Jeanette Webster.
Here.
Kane. He's also here.
Hello. Just to ask.
Kane,
Yeah.
What's your last name again?
Masters.
Masters.
The master.
All right.
It's probably not a
Moving into the approval of this week's agenda, could you all review that, please? Jeanette,
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve last week's agenda.
there's an entertainment to approve the agenda. Eric moves. Is there a second? Shelby
Oh, wait.
seconds.
Okay, yeah.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to the approval of last week's minutes. Can you all review that, please? Yes.
I make a motion to approve last week's minutes.
There's a motion to approve last week's minutes. Jeanette seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to the reports for this week. I have no reports for you guys.
The only report I have is I just want to make sure you guys are aware we have $28,981.65 left in our budget.
I lied. I don't have a report, but we do have to make a decision tonight about where we'll do the end of the year dinner, so we can make a reservation
Starlight.
and put that on there. And for clarification, Starlight is open to all until 9 o'clock, so there's not an issue of age on that either.
I make a motion to choose Starlight.
I make a motion to not choose Starlight.
Then suggest something new.
There's a motion on the table to approve our end of the year
Then where are we
dinner for
gonna eat?
Starlight.
We really don't have to vote on it.
It's
It's not that formal.
Anyone
of
with Starlight's not
Alex.
helpful.
Kebab house.
No, Yellow Church.
Is
Yellow
that
Yellow
too
Church.
small?
The yellow churches will be fit.
Yeah, there's a downstairs place.
What is
There's
it,
either a
pancakes?
downstairs room or
No,
or
it's like
upstairs.
delicious, amazing food.
But what kind of food? Breakfast?
They have like
food.
I thought it was just bread.
No.
Yeah.
They have steak
Exactly.
and
We will come back to this at the end,
Okay, so
so we can get through the others, but we do have to decide before we
Okay.
leave, so
So they don't have to
we can work
say
with
it and
Renee to
listen
get
to
it.
us.
I think they do have pretty good bread though.
Think and ruminate on that.
I thought it was bread.
That's all I'm saying.
Is that Daily Bread Mercantile?
Yeah.
That place?
Moving into public comment, first call.
Oh.
Is there any public comment at this time?
They close at 5.
Any public suggestions for where to go today?
Seeing no public comment. Moving into section 7, old business. Seeing none. Moving into section 8, new business. Supplemental funding request presentation 1852, the International Horn Symposium in the amount of $5,000.
Hello. You all right?
Yeah.
10 minutes to present, 10 minutes of questions.
Sure. I don't use all 10 minutes, is that?
Yeah, that's
All right. Hello, my name is Ian Monahan. I'm the president of the Horn Club on campus. Our group is mostly comprised of members of the Horn Studio and the Music Department and members of the Horn Ensemble. Our Horn Ensemble this year was invited to play at the International Horn Symposium, which takes place between July 29th to the 4th, I believe. We're flying on the 28th and coming back on the 5th. We were invited to play a concert, and I'll take a step back. The International Horn Symposium it's like a pretty big deal. Last year it was in Brazil, the year before it was in New York. It's been all over the world, and it's the biggest joining of horn players from every corner of the globe. And it's pretty neat for Ellensburg to get to be chosen to come and play a concert at this thing. There's going to be 10 special guest artists that will be putting on concerts and teaching master classes and judging competitions. And so, in addition to the concert that we will be performing, there will be students participating in these things. I myself am going to be playing in a quartet competition. There will be students participating in master classes and a mock audition. It's a really great opportunity for every one of our members of the studio to get to just be exposed to like this really high caliber of playing and teaching from all over the place. One other thing is it's a really awesome opportunity for students to get to network with potential graduate professors as they move forward with their education. Right. I guess that's mostly it. Are there any questions about the budget or anything like that? Yeah.
How many students are going, or did I miss that piece?
Oh, sorry. There's 15 of us. All of us are members of the horn ensemble. One of those members is not flying with us and not staying at the housing that we've organized, but we are paying for their registration. So, yes.
What's the breakdown of those kids? I mean, students, like juniors, seniors, like who's graduating, if any?
There are 2 students that are graduating, but they'll be participating in summer courses. One student is student teaching in the fall, I believe, and everyone else is right now a junior or below.
Stephanie?
I had a question on your budget. On the front page, career services says it's committed 300. On the back, it says they did 2,000, and your total revenues was 16,771. But your total expenses are 18,000, and you're asking for 5,000. I'm just confused with the number breakdown. Do you
I
wanna-
see that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, so that is a mistake.
Okay.
Career services is only committing 300. So I think, I don't know. I must have been thinking 2,000 Club Senate amount.
Okay.
So the revenue is not that high. It is whatever minus 3,000 from that. So 1,377 plus 300. So like 1,400.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. Thanks.
Are there any further questions for our presenter? Yes, Jeanette.
Why is one of the students staying somewhere else and doing their own thing, it sounds like, and you guys are still paying for it? I'm just
Well,
confused.
we're only paying for their registration. We
Oh, okay.
decided to pay for their registration because they are performing in the ensemble with us, and so it seemed unfair to have them play and not cover part of the expense. Yes?
I could actually answer that. I'm the advisor for the ensemble and the club. This person is married. He has relatives in Muncie, and so he's staying with family.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Maddie?
So I just have one more question about the expenses breakdown. So even with the career services amount of 300 being changed, there's only just over $2,000 difference between the revenue and what the total expenses are. So how come you're requesting 5,000?
So I was actually talking to our advisor about this morning. As of now, the music department has agreed to cover whatever charges are not covered by us through fundraising or SNA, Student Academic Senate, and things like that. But in an attempt to, we didn't want to charge anyone or to ask for more than like is unbalanced, if that makes sense. So I think we decided that if you would like to offer more, if you decide that it's worth it, then we would be greatly appreciative of that. But we're trying not to ask for too much from one specific source. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
So it will be covered by the music department regardless of what happens.
So just like the leftover 2,000 some odd dollars, so after the 18,600 your total expenses are paid.
Yes.
Are you using that extra money for something else? I don't know. Maybe
I
I'm
see what
missing
you're
something that
saying.
everyone else is
No.
getting, but
No. So sorry.
so the difference.
3,550
Between
Macy?
our revenue and the expenses, right?
Yes, and I think I can just make a comment. I think some of this is based off of that not everything is committed. So that they've asked for additional funding, but as far as I know, I don't think you've actually, from like undergrad and academic senate, have they voted yet to?
Yes, that amount has been.
So academic
committed.
senate has?
Yes, that's
Okay.
been committed. The career service has been committed.
And so when they were filling this out, not all of that was committed at the time. And so I think that they put that figure in there based off of the unknown.
Okay. but all those amounts are committed now.
Career Service has been committed, Student Academic Senate has been committed, the undergraduate travel grant has been committed, and the music department has committed to pay for whatever expenses are not covered by our own outreach.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So I guess the difference. Okay. Yep. I got it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Eric, did you have a question?
Yeah, how much are each of the 15 students contributing to this trip
Out of pocket?
out of pocket?
Ideally, none. Like I said, the music department has chosen to pay for whatever expenses are not covered through like organizations like SNA or Student Academic Senate. That being said, everyone in the club has committed to fundraising throughout the year. Every single week, the members from the club sell coffee in the music department. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Well, and to clarify, because I know it's not listed on here, are you all paying for meals and those things out of pocket though?
No. So the way the housing works is we are staying on campus
Okay.
in the dorms at Ball State University. And with the registration to stay in the dorms, it's like a combined meal plan. So,
And if I can just add, that cannot be separated.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to.
Yeah.
Lacey?
Do you plan on, I know you listed that you have $671. Are you planning on using your club account funding?
Yep. Yeah, and actually, I just checked today, we also have 400 incumbent, is that the right term?
Encumbered?
Yeah, so that's 400 plus the 600, so that's already 1,000 that we're willing to contribute, and we are still fundraising throughout the rest of the quarter, so.
Are there any further questions? Thank you. We'll be voting on this next week. Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1853, the athletics postseason baseball tickets in the amount of $3,000. Is our presenter here today?
Doesn't look like it.
We're tabling that until the end of new business presentations. See if he comes up. Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1854, the Atlantis Medical Fellowship in the amount of $4,300 or $4,320.
Hi. Okay, so my name is Marie Helen Willis, and today I'll be presenting about the Atlantis Medical Fellowship.
We're right up there.
Oh.
Good. Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit of background information about this fellowship. It was founded by J.P. Toss, I think that's how you say his name. And first, when he was an undergrad, he took some friends who didn't really have any clinical hours or shadowing hours, and he took them back to his home country of Portugal and connected them with some of the doctors there to give them some hours. And he saw how much it benefited them, and so he decided to form Atlantis and provide this opportunity to other pre-med students. And something that they really emphasize on their website, and when I talked to them through the interviews and whatnot, they really emphasize improving communication channels between languages, cultures, and geographical divides. So medicine, it's basically the same everywhere you go. We're all humans, all practice the same. And so to create these connections with everyone globally, it really improves the practice. And so a little bit about the fellowship that I got accepted into and chose. It'll be located in Székesfehérvár. It's a mouthful, but that's in Hungary. It's about an hour away from Budapest. I chose the 3-week one. There was also a 4-week one, but that was more expensive, and I felt that the 3-week one would be good enough. That will be from August 4th until August 24th. And a little bit of a breakdown of what I'll be doing there in those weeks. Monday through Thursdays from about 9 a.m. to 2 or 3 p.m. we'll be shadowing doctors in the hospital over there. And after that, we'll have educational seminars, advising, and pretty much social time to create these connections with our peers over there and the doctors. And then on Fridays, we'll have an excursion to go travel around Hungary and learn about the history and sort of explore over there. Weekends are completely free time, so we can do as we want. A little bit about the hospital that I will be placed in if I go. It's a public teaching hospital. It's a really large hospital. It has over 1,000 beds, and to put that into perspective, our local hospital has about 25 beds, and Harborview in Seattle has about 500 beds. So it's a really large hospital, which could be both good and bad. They have a lot of departments since they're so large, so they have like trauma, internal medicine, dermatology, vascular surgery, and neurology. So it'll be an opportunity to see a lot of things there. But one bad thing about it being so large is that you don't have as much as like an intimate experience with it, so it's more busy and yeah. But one thing that helps with that is that we'll be placed with one person per doctor and sometimes two, it depends. So that's really sort of solves that problem. Some learning outcomes about this fellowship is that it's a really good opportunity to network, create some connections with the fellow pre-meds over there who are also taking part in the fellowship, and also talk to the doctors over there and get some information, some tips, some contacts with them so that in the future, if you ever need anything or need to reach out to them, they'll be able to help you out. Also, one really important thing when applying to medical school is to have shadowing and clinical hours. And this will give you over, I think in my 3-week time, I'll get over 60 hours, which is a really large amount in such a condensed amount of time. And it's pretty much necessary. And one good thing, even though it's abroad, they are still compliant with all of the rules and regulations that are necessary if you shadow in the States. So they'll count. And one really cool thing about this fellowship is that you can possibly observe surgical procedures. I've never seen that, so I think it would be a really cool story opportunity. And also exposure to different cultures. I feel like this would sort of open up your eyes, or my eyes, and broaden my range of sort of understanding people and the different ways that people grow up and live, especially a country halfway across the world. It really gets you outside of your comfort zone of the cultures in the US. So now that I've talked about what this would bring to me, how could it benefit students at Central? So actually, I'm running for the president of the pre-med club, AMSA Pre-Soma Club. So obviously, I'm really like dedicated to the pre-med community here at Central. I want to be really involved with it, and even if I don't win as president, I'll still be really involved next year and be able to bring back all of the information and things that I've learned from the fellowship. And I don't know if you guys remember, but from the AMSA exposition and convention, we came and presented to you guys, and we only have about 200 registered pre-med students here at Central out of about 12,000 students. And that's sort of something that we're trying to grow, and something that we also emphasize was that a lot of students don't really think of our school as a pre-med school. They usually think of UW or Wazoo as a pre-med school, especially since Wazoo just opened up a medical school and UW has a really great program there. So people usually go there, but if they hear that, I think that if they hear that students who are in the pre-med program here at Central get to go on this really great opportunity, then they'll sort of take us more seriously and consider us more. And also, like I said before, I'll be able to share these experiences, what I learned, my connections, everything I got from networking over there with my fellow pre-med students over here. So now to talk about the money. The average cost for the airfare that I found was about $1,100. I don't know if that's changed, but I think that was about average last time I checked. And the total for the registration and housing of the total program was about $4,420. So that totals out to $5,520. But I recently talked to Atlantis, and they granted me a $900 scholarship, which is amazing. Extremely grateful for that. And I made a GoFundMe account, and I had some really generous people donate $173. And then SAS anticipated, I haven't presented to them yet, but I've requested $300 from them. So that's a total of $1,375 in revenue. And so the different number from now compared to the numbers I turned in the forms, I'm now requesting $4,145. And that's it.
Are there any questions? Yes, Eric?
And your registration and housing, is food part of that, or is that going to be on your own?
It's on my own.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
Yes, Joe. Yes, Joe.
So I noticed the, let me see. So the fellowship is to the August 24th, but on our paperwork it says September 17th.
Yeah. Afterwards, I was hoping to maybe travel around afterwards to local countries as well. I put September 17th as a really late date, but I wanted to put farther out to be safe. But yeah, that's not really included here. That was just on my own as well.
Alex?
Have you requested to SAS, or what's the status on that? Because SAS is.
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
It was on our agenda yesterday.
Oh no, it was. Oh, yeah, I requested, but I thought I would get like an email or something about it.
So talk to Edith. It'll be on our next meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks.
I just texted Edith. She said there's nothing left in SAS right now. I don't know if you can speak to that or not.
I can't speak to that.
Okay.
Oh no. Okay.
Well, I guess just to clarify, I know you said that you're potentially staying longer, but the housing that's listed on here is only for the time of the fellowship. Is that
Yes.
correct?
So everything after that I'll be paying out of pocket.
Lacey?
So are you updating your request for the 4,145?
The requesting amount.
Yeah. Yes.
You are, okay.
Wait. If SAS doesn't have any more money left, then wouldn't she need to add 300 to this?
Yeah, that's 445, and then
That's-
the one.
Well, just to clarify.
Okay. I
If
heard
SAS has
100.
no money, really what she's putting on here is it says anticipated, so the committee could still choose to put that $300.
Got it,
When we
okay.
do it, but she's putting the requesting amount of the remaining is $41.45.
Alex?
So I don't know if I missed it, but that's 4145 on here. It's 4320.
That's because it didn't have the funding.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. I was wondering about that.
You stepped in there.
Is your GoFundMe still going on, or did it end?
Yeah. Okay. It's still going on. Nothing since then, but hopefully.
Any further questions? Thank you. We'll vote on this next week. Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1856, the Trumpet Club Adams Festival in California in the amount of $3,143.46. Are they in the room?
Doesn't sound like it.
Moving back to, and he's not here. So, moving into new business subsection B, the Early Childhood Learning Center base funding request to keep salary savings.
She's not here either.
Jenna's here.
Sounds like she
I was like,
was just here.
she just moved to that side of the room.
Yeah, she moved.
She's being tricky. She's moving to different places.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to give you an update, tell you what's going on. One of the departments I oversee is the Early Childhood Learning Center. And have any of you ever visited one of the two sites at the Rainbow, Michelson, or up in Brookline by chance? you ever been inside of it or?
I work there.
She works there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good job.
awesome. You can speak to this too. So, Michelle Hill is our director, and there's a position right next to her called ECPC 4. It's a 4 position, that's how it's classified. And we have been searching for that position. She was in the position, she went through a search and got the director position. It left her position vacant. We started a search. We had a first round of it was failed. We're in the second round of it. We have 3 candidates coming on, either at the end of this week or the first of next week. But because of that process, because you have to get folks who are certified and licensed correctly, or you have to have a licensed facility, you have to make sure that they have certain credentials. So it's not an easy position to fill. And so we find ourselves in a position where we've lapsed over that time period. Michelle Hill's been doing both jobs. It's been really challenging. Can't get someone in there fast enough, but we have to get the right position, or position has the qualifications. So what that has done though is, if you were to speed up time a little bit, has left us in a position where, based on the guidelines, we're over that period of time for the salary. So I wanted to come and bring that up,
And I will speak, I'm gonna chime in here. I'm gonna speak on the total. So the total for that is 79,452. And that would be going vacant until June 30th. We're hoping to fill before that, but that would be the entire salary savings that that this department is requesting to keep.
We have used some of those funds for that position with an individual who's been a temp for us to be able to handle some of the parts of the position. We're helping more at the administrative side, and so we've been temping just a little bit just to manage that. So, yeah. Questions?
And those temp expenses aren't included in that 79, but because of the guidelines, we just want to make sure that you guys are aware. So basically, there has been expenses that have hit that type of line item in the budget due to hiring temps, and then also the recruiting process through both searches. So they have basically spent a portion of that already in that process.
And just for point of information, because of the guidelines, that someone would have to make a motion for them to be able to keep that funding. Otherwise, it would automatically, it would roll back. So that's what this is for.
Alex?
I motion to have them keep the funding in the full amount.
There's a
I'd like
motion
to
on the table in
second
the full amount. Eric seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving into section 9, other business communication received. I've not received anything. Alex?
Could I actually, by any chance, make a motion to vote on the 2 funding requests that we've received tonight? Since we're saving time by the other 2 not showing up, we can use that time to get ahead of the game a little.
There's a motion on the table to vote on supplemental funding requests 1852 and 54. Jeanette seconds.
Yep.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Abstain.
Moving into voting on supplemental funding requests, 1852, the International Horn Symposium in the amount of $5,000. Alex?
Now I have something to say about no. I'm totally kidding. First of all, this honestly to me looks great. I love how much they've gone elsewhere for, so it's not they just came straight to us asking for some. And this is one of the first ones that I've seen this year that have actually been able to get money from career services, which I'm sure was not necessarily an easy task because they've been unavailable this year. So that to me says a lot about them being willing to go and put in the work elsewhere, as well as putting in their own club funds that they've been doing. So I think I make a motion to fund this in the full amount.
So it's on the table in the full amount. Jeanette seconds. Is there any discussion? Maddie?
So the only thing is, I don't see a point in giving them $5,000 if they only need $1,752.88. to cover the rest of the expenses.
Alex,
Can I amend my motion to $4,000? Because they were looking for $3,552.88. But since they've done such a good job with the music department being able to front everything, I figured rounding up to $4,000 would ease off a little bit on the music department while also funding them fully.
come to you, Patrick. There's a motion on the table to amend the amount of $5,000 to $4,000. Is there a second on that amendment? Seconded by Stephanie. Patrick? You
No, I think you have to vote on the amendment.
Unless it's about the amendment, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any discussion on the amendment?
I have a question for Alex.
Yes.
Did you take into account the $400 that is also encumbered in their club account, so they have 1,071?
I did not take into account the extra $400. Do we want to amend the amendment?
We have to vote on this amendment first, and then move into voting on amending the $5,000.
I mean, if you really want to, I would simply, for efficiency's sake, remove your amendment and propose a new one.
So the proper way would be to ask the person that seconded.
Yeah.
If they remove their second, and then the amendment would die.
Yeah.
I remove my second.
Okay, the amendment of $4,000 is dead.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion on the original motion of $5,000?
Can I amend to $3,600?
There's a motion on the table for $3,600. Is there a second?
So confused right now.
Where are you?
So
what
have
are we
a
talking
discussion.
about at this point?
Point of order, is there a second?
Okay, I'm gonna second so we can have a
Okay,
discussion.
seconded.
Um,
Discussion.
where are you?
Okay. So on the back, let's go through the revenue
Okay.
piece. The career services was not $2,000, it was $300. So the
Yeah.
amount was not $16,771, it was $5,071. $5,071 minus $18,623.88 is $3,550.
Whoa, stop.
I think you got your numbers.
He's saying, he meant 15, not
Okay, I was.
Yeah, I was like, why did you
You're
do 5 minus 18?
changing, he's changing career services under the revenue from $2,000
Yeah.
to $300.
Yes.
1571.
Yeah, $15,000 or $15,071. That minus the total expenses that they have listed, which is the $18,000, gives you $3,552.88. So then I rounded it up, but didn't take into account the $400 that they had extra or encumbered in their club account. So the $4,000 that I rounded up minus $400 gives you $3,600.
Okay.
Sorry, I went really fast on that. I apologize.
So you're basically saying their total revenue is $15,721.
Not 771. 71.
15,071. Okay.
For information, what's the amount on the table?
It's for $3,600.
3,600. Okay.
We're just voting to update the original motion at this point.
So there's,
That is, wait a minute.
is there any further discussion on the amendment at hand in 3,600? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment?
Oh, yeah.
This is meaning that we're going to vote on.
Vote on the,
this amendment.
This is just the amendment, this is not.
Yeah.
so this is voting for the amended amount.
Okay.
Any opposed to the amended amount? Any abstaining from the amended amount? All right. Moving into discussion on.
Pat has something to say.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Keeps
so
trying to
all
Alex
of
jumps
these
ahead.
requests, should be considered on their own merits. But even the first one in the fall, in the back of your mind, we only have so much that we can give out for the year, right? And any decision you make the decision for the subsequent ones. So we can see on the screen right up here that there's what Lacey just marked off.
Nope, I'm looking.
But there's $17,000 left, but I add up 20 some in requests. So I just want to point out, if you fund the next couple in full, you will be out by the last one. Can you add up, Lacey? You see what I'm saying?
He's going up the
28,000.
What's the yellow column?
That's what's been like requested.
Okay, so
The 17 is what we funded, but 28 because we have some funding that's come back.
Yeah.
okay.
So
I just wanted to make sure where we're at on that. So
Yeah.
right now today, then you can afford everything that has been requested.
But not
there might
next
be
year.
more.
But there might be more.
Yeah, okay. I
So,
was confused.
just in case
No, vice.
just in case people can't see this, all of these are about $21,000 and we have 28 left.
And those are just for today.
That's just what we have. We do have one that is not on this list yet,
It'll be on next week.
which is $1,400. The request is. So,
Thank you. Julia.
Has the Trumpet Club requested money from us this year already?
well, this is the horn.
So like
Club.
it's different?
It is different. The Trumpet Club is different than the horn club.
Okay, that's where I was confused.
So that might be slightly confusing.
It is.
Stephanie.
Are we still discussing the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When in my mind, my first thought was let's not fund it because he said that the music department would fund whatever he needs, and so if he can get that funding from another source, then we can use our funds for other people.
Fair enough.
Shelby.
I was curious too. The $12,000 that the music department funds, isn't that from their base funding?
Yes.
So in a way, we're still funding it either way. It's just whether or not we're taking it out of the supplemental or the base. Okay.
Joey, did you have something to add?
Well, the part that I was going to add on here is I know his comment was that they would fully fund it. I think the fact that we're taking into account already saying that the music department is going to fund $12,000 with what this is. Just to keep that in mind, that what we have on the proposal is making the assumption the music department is going to fund it the $12,000 already on there, which is a pretty large amount from the music department.
Eric, did you have a comment?
I don't think I have no question.
Julia.
I don't know how to really ask it, but if the music department has that much funding, is it like after this year will it go away, or will the $12,000 they get to keep it and can use it for next? That's what I'm confused about.
The base funding that they're talking about is actually next year's base funding, and so it will be coming out of next fiscal year travel budget that they have.
And something that we voted on earlier this year was for them to, instead of have each year allotment for their base funding be per year, to mesh it all into one big pot so they can spend it as they need throughout the 4 years.
Okay.
And Jeanette?
So then wouldn't that also mean that we've already decided when we made that this is what it was for, their base funding? Like I distinctly remember
Correct.
talking about that like this is what they wanted to use their money for, was for their music people to do these things. So then why would we, and maybe I'm stupid, but I don't understand why we would do it twice. Does that make sense?
Lacey?
Historically, the music department is not fully funded for travel for all of their areas, and this is a club, and they just happen to be associated with the music department. So I understand like your question, but there's always going to be a short, if you will, when it comes to these types of questions or requests.
Joey, did you have any comment? Shelby?
So I guess, $12,000 from the music department, but still doesn't cover all of their expenses. But they still have all the, never mind.
Well-
I figured it out in my own head.
Joey?
And I guess I will point this out, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. When it was divided out over 4 years, the music department only gets $65,000 per year. So $12,000 for one group. That's why I'm meaning it's a large amount for them to be giving at that point.
Okay.
Lacey?
I'm just going to kind of do my quick math here for you guys. So with all the expenses and the funding that they have from their club account, SAS, and career services, and undergrad, it leaves the total cost of the trip, so this isn't including anything from the music department, is $13,623.88. So we know they have that funding. I just wanted to give you guys those numbers, so they are still short even if they do get a full 12.
Okay.
Julia, did you have any comment?
It was just hard because they're not paying for a single penny of this trip, so that's one thing that am I wrong? There's like less than $2,000 technically if they cut all the other funding, and the music department paid for $12,000. If you divided that like $2,000 by 15 people, I feel like they should have to pay for something. I don't know if that math is correct, but
Lacey?
I just want to say that they are, the club has raised $1,000 that they are putting towards that out of their club account, just so you guys know.
What is that per person, $1,000 divided by 15, right? I mean, in effect, that's what he
mean, I think the rough math based on what Julia was going is it would be about $100 per person. Yeah.
Alex?
They also put together the undergraduate travel grant, which is similar to getting like funding from another music department outside of the school. So in my mind, I see club account going to academic senate before they ran out of money, the department giving them money as well, going to career services, and I see a lot of effort being put in here that in my mind takes the place of putting together like individual amounts, which we've seen similar situations this year.
Lacey?
And just one point, they did try to go to Club Senate for funding, but due to some confusion and some timing issues, they were not, it was basically, they were out of money at the time that they were trying to do that. So they did put effort towards that.
Any further discussion on the motion of $3,600? Yes, Julia?
Lacey, what number did you have? Like, if you subtracted the 12,000 from the music department, what's left over?
So if you take out 12,000, it's $1,623.88. I would suggest rounding up.
I'm confused. How do you get 1,000? Is that per person?
I have a request.
No, that's so it's basically.
Does anyone have
these
an
are the total expenses? So then they have. Maybe I didn't do my math right. This is going to be a good.
So that's like, how do you get 1,000 out of subtracting 12,000?
It was.
I think it's because their math was wrong under the revenue.
Okay.
So this is.
This is what it would be.
This is really rough, guys, but this is their club account. This $1,000, and so if this is SAS, this is career services, this is undergrad, this is their club account roughly, and so then that leaves 13,000.
Yeah.
So I was roughly off. Sorry, $13,422, and then.
Okay. So then there'll still be the 1,300 and for 1,000. Yeah.
Eric?
Oh my god.
So, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. They're needing an additional, the 1,300 or 1,423 and not 5,000 or even 3,600.
If they get the 12,000.
But they said it was committed, I thought.
Yeah.
The 12,000. Like, I'm like pretty sure they said that was a go.
Okay, so
Eric?
I would like to amend the motion to amend it to $1,423.
$23.
I would just round.
$1,500.
There's an amendment on the table of $1,500. Maddie seconds. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Jeanette?
I feel like I'm being the bully here, but I understand they did fundraising. I understand that they've been doing it all year, been really good about it, but they're not even having to pay for food because it's part of the registration, whereas other clubs that have gone in the past have had to pay that on their own because it's not part of registration. So they're not, in my mind, putting in, it's not hurting them. I don't want to hurt people. I'm just saying that like it's not coming out of their own pockets at
Just
all.
point of information, this is just on to make it the amendment, not on the voting on it.
Okay.
Any further
Copy
discussion
that. Cut. Wait for it.
on the amendment of $1,500? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Discussion's open for the amount of $1,500.
Paste what I just said. So if I am understanding this correctly, they're not paying for food. I get it. You can't separate it. But they're not paying for anything at that point then. So that's what I'm concerned because we've made every other club and group of people pay for that portion. And I understand that we can't separate it. I'm just saying that like it's
While we wait till I'm waiting.
it's just like I feel like I'm being mean and maybe it's the heat, but I just feel like it's not fair to any other club that we've funded because we've enforced everybody else to pay at least something, whether it be transportation, Uber, food, something, to show that they are putting in their effort.
Well, I think I'd say maybe you could look at the fundraising as having a part-time job, right? And the 15 of them spend time each week raising the money they are contributing. They didn't work at McDonald's, they were handing out coffee and food. That's how I view it.
Julia?
I still feel like though, like if you take like the Child Life Club we just funded, they had thousands of dollars I think in funding. Like I
And
know in Shore
fundraising.
Club we had to do that and we still pay for our food. Like a lot of other clubs have done fundraising, used not all of them have used club funds as well. But it'd be $100 per person to go for a trip.
Right.
That's like thousands of dollars per person.
Jeanette?
That was kind of my point, is that regardless of the fundraising, because a lot of groups have fundraised, it's not, in my opinion, fair to say that we can count that as good, because it's great, it's a great thing, but it can't, they're not paying for anything, and we still make other clubs, regardless of fundraising, regardless of how much they've gotten support from other groups, they're still having to pay for something, and I feel like the group as a whole has always wanted that a part of each, like every time that we say something, we're like, okay, well, what are you paying for on your own? And I just feel as though that's still something that we value and we need to keep true, but that's just my opinion. I'm gonna sit back now.
Shelby?
Well, I mean, I don't know, because I feel like we've already cut their request so far down. But on the other hand, we haven't always paid for transportation to and from airports in the past, and they are asking for that as part of their expenses. But I'm also like, they're asking basically what the motion is, like what the amount on the table is right now, so, I don't know.
Alex?
I can agree with your sentiment. I personally feel as though they've hit the sentiment of giving a portion based on what I've seen here, but I don't agree with where you're essentially looking at it with the food portion, simply because you can't look at this, or at least in my opinion, you can't punish a club or not give them money just because the nature of the event is the food is already covered in registration. I don't think that's necessarily a fair justification. I feel as though if there was to be an additional cut to increase the amount that people, or that you believe that people should have in there, it should come, as Shelby said, from the shuttle to and from airports, since that's not something that we funded in the past.
Julia?
I don't think that she really said that they had to be like they're paying for food.
It's
She
not,
meant
it was
something.
just
So like if you
something.
kind of tie them together, like we don't give you this money, you guys have to find your own transportation. Kind of like most of the other clubs have paid to the shuttle to and from. Like they didn't specifically ask for like food money or anything. So just by not giving them this, it would be like you need to figure out how to pay for your own transportation or whatever that would be, if that makes sense.
Joey?
Two comments. One, just to point out, they didn't specifically say where the SNA funding was going to cover on here. So when you're looking at the shuttle piece, that's pretty much the amount that's in their club account, if that's what you're looking at, is almost exactly that. So that's a hard piece when we're doing line by line, when they're not specifically asking that. The second one, and I'll bring this up, I was going to bring it up later, but this is in general. This is part of why we may not want to make a motion to vote on things after the presenters have left, because looking at the fact that they're going to be there for a week, it's highly possible that they are going to do things outside of this, including things around town or events or entertainment part that would be out of pocket that other people have presented on, that we now don't have the ability to ask them because they're not here. Just to point that out.
So then, can
Shelby?
I make a motion to table this till next week and request that we ask the presenters to come back?
There's a motion on the table, or
Not
motion.
all the presenters.
Yeah, just at least a representative.
There's a motion on the table to table supplemental funding request 1852. Alex seconds. Is there any discussion? Eric?
I honestly don't think that we should table this. I think with the amount of money that we're talking about at $1,500, I think that we should vote on the motion, and however the votes fall is where what we feel. I think we shouldn't. $1,500 to me, I just don't see value of tabling it to next week. That's just my opinion. So.
Joey?
And the only part I would say, and this is up to you all because I have no vote or say any of this, is if the vote would be determined, if you would vote yes or no based on the fact of them paying anything out of pocket when we don't have the ability to ask them beyond food if they're paying anything out of pocket. Because I don't recall anyone asking the question, are you going or doing any entertainment or other pieces on there, other than asking, is any of this coming out of pocket, which was clearly articulated on there.
Lacey?
And I'd also like to note that I do know, just with brief conversations, that they plan on fundraising throughout until this trip. And I do know that that was part of the reason why the music department said that they were going to help with this. And so maybe there is more information that we're missing. Maybe there is a certain amount that they have to fundraise. So there's a few missing pieces here.
Jeanette, did you have any comments?
No, I think what I've said, I've made my piece.
Eric, any further discussion? Is there any further discussion on the motion of tabling until next week? Alex?
I'm gonna just say one thing. I agree with you on the $1,500, that not being enough to really like go over this much. But I think the more important piece is the precedence that we set, that if we vote on something without complete information when we have the opportunity to do that, I feel as though that's doing a disservice to the organizations that come here. And even though it's the end of the year and there's not very much left, I think it would be doing a disservice to them when we've done so well up until this point. So I totally support tabling it until we have the full picture.
Any further discussion on the motion at hand in tabling this till next week? Jeanette?
I just want to say what I remember him saying was that he asked for more and was hoping that we would give them more because they wanted to alleviate some of the pressure off of the music department or something. But he was, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but that they knew that they were asking for more than they needed was my understanding. That was my understanding, and I've said what I need to say. Maybe I was wrong, but that's why I feel that we should lower the price.
Eric?
I heard the same thing.
Joey?
I mean, the only thing I'll say is yes, that is what he said, is if we funded it at the $5,000 that they were requesting, that money would be coming off. It would not be $12,000 coming from music department. But I think that was already negated by the fact we're only proposing the $1,500, which is now not going over.
Any further discussion on the motion at hand in tabling this till next week? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. We will vote on supplemental funding request 1852 next week. I would like to entertain. So I would like to entertain a motion to, rather than what we originally stated in voting on 1854, we listen to supplemental funding request 1853 at this moment. Shall we?
Move
Yep.
that?
So we would like to move that. Maddie seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Oh, so sorry I was late. Slight emergency, but we're good. So I am requesting some additional funds for tickets to the conference baseball tournament. So you guys were awesome in helping us get tickets to the football game that we choked away in the second half. We were up 28-7, and then that saved you guys a lot of money in the end. So one good thing that came from. So we're requesting, it's a $5 ticket, so we do not charge currently for students to come to baseball games. It's free, but with us hosting the tournament, I don't know if we hosted the tournament before.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. It's the first time we've hosted in a long time. So there's 4 teams coming. We have already qualified. We're the first time we're hosting it, and it's a $5 ticket for students. And so we're requesting a $200 limit per game. And so how we would do it is the kids would check in, ID, everything, we'd give them tickets, and if only 50 kids showed up, we'd only charge 50 tickets, so it wouldn't be the full amount. We're not asking for all of this up front. It would be a back end through the ticket office, and then we would kind of just be charged for whatever we use, and it's an opportunity to get our students to come out, home field advantage, great opportunity for us to win a conference championship and give our students an opportunity to come cheer on the home team. So, any questions? Yes.
Football copy and paste? Pretty much that's what this is.
A lot of it's similar. It's exact same.
Sorry, that was,
Yeah,
I
not
should have
much has
elaborated on that a
changed.
little.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Where's the baseball field?
Great question. You know what a football field is?
Yeah.
Directly next to it. So there's a big grass field between the two of them, but they're right next to each other. So this would be a great opportunity for kids to know where this baseball field is. Very good question. Any other questions?
Shelby?
Oh,
Stephanie.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Is there 200 seats there?
So yeah, so we're bringing in. So we have a bunch of portable bleachers that we can bring in, and so down the third and first base lines, there'll be plenty of seats. For those things.
Any more questions? Yes.
The $5 ticket fee, that's the tournament placing that on there.
Correct.
Not
So this is not come back to, goes to the conference office, and yeah, this is not CWU revenue, unfortunately. So yeah, all this money would go back to the conference office, and we put it on and get the home field advantage. That's kind of our benefit, is that our kids get to sleep in their own beds and eat their own food and not have to travel and be on the road. So it's a big, huge home field advantage to have it here, and then obviously the more students we can get, the more fans we have, just the more excitement we have at the game. So, also to be noted, so it's a 3-day tournament. So say we lose the first 2 games, we would not even be in the 3rd day. So obviously that would eliminate that. Every team makes both days, and it's a double elimination tournament. So even if we lost the first day, we'd still be playing the 2nd day. We could play up to 2 games on that day, but your ticket gets you in for the whole day, for all the games that are involved.
Any further questions?
How is this being advertised to students?
Yep. So we have a bunch of different ways. We in the CERC, we are a part of the Wildcat thing, whatever they call it now, to be on the board. So it'd be up there on that board. We advertise it all over in our thing on social media, flyers, tabling in the CERC, those types of things. What we would do. So beginning of next week. So I think this is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Any further questions? Thank you.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Moving back to voting on supplemental funding request 1854, the Atlantis Medical Fellowship, in the amount of $43.20. Julia.
And we basically just
Point of information, yeah. 4145.
4145. Yes, Julia?
Well, we basically just funded the exact same thing, so I feel like we should also fund this in the full amount.
Eric?
I would like to make a motion to fund this for
145.
44, 45?
41.
No, he's
Are you doing
adding
it
the
in
300.
I'm adding,
Because
I'm adding
it has
this
money.
in.
That's what I was checking. Yep.
Do I need to say that? Did I make
Oh,
it?
yeah.
4445 is the amount.
Yeah.
Alex
Abstain.
seconds. Is there any discussion? Yes, Maddie?
I guess like you guys should think about that you just tabled $1,500 for the exact reason that they were not contributing money, and neither is this person. Maybe you should keep that in mind with like all of our requests, even though this isn't a club.
Point of order. The discussion is on the motion at hand.
So
Yes. Any
before
further?
you guys,
Sorry, go for it.
everybody votes to fund this in the full amount, you just tabled a request because they weren't paying anything out of pocket, basically. So if we're gonna do that to one person, we should keep that in mind for everyone.
Joey?
I was going to say, just for point of information, if I remember correctly on hers, is she was paying for meals. Her meals were not included in her fellowship. But I do agree with your sentiment that we should continue to be
Basically, yeah.
consistent in general.
Jeanette?
I'm not going to vote on this, but just I do know what's going on here. She's paying for food. She's paying for any extra travel afterwards, which we were talking about. The people going to Indiana were maybe not, but she is. She's also paying for transportation anywhere like to and from, just not the airfare. She's looking for help on that one. But airfare has gone up, so she is not requesting any more money to the $1,100 that she's requested, because it is no longer $1,100 for airfare. So she is paying a good portion. This food is very expensive. Transportation in Europe can get pricey as you like travel around. She's paying for anything she does outside of the fellowship. So that's all I have to say.
Any further discussion on the motion at hand? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes in the amount of $4,445. Moving into section 10, public comment, second call. Eric?
I think that we should go to Yellow Church for our dinner.
What do they have there though? Like everything?
They, for their dinner menu, they had, I ate there a couple weeks ago, they have steak, they have pork chop, they have seafood.
They have American cuisine.
They have American
But it's
cuisine.
good? Like,
It's
or is
really
it-
It's very good.
They have pasta, they have burgers.
Will it fit within the per diem?
Of Ellensburg?
Well, that's fair. That's a
Is it
fair
within per
question.
diem?
It has to be within
Anything that would be
$400.
over per diem, you'd have to pay out of pocket.
So steak might sound great, lobster or whatever they have, but if it's $30 and per diem's 23, you guys have to pay the difference, which is still a great deal.
Is it an expensive restaurant?
Well,
I
like steak
don't-
is expensive.
I
everywhere.
remember it being fairly expensive, but
I don't think
we have
I'm looking at the menu right now.
She's looking at the menu.
And
Pause.
like, a burger is like between $14 and $16. Salads
We get per
are,
diem.
super
I know,
salads
that's
are like
so
from $10 to
It's really yummy.
$17. The most expensive steak or menu item that they have is $25.
So good.
It's like $25.
I've metaphorically, since it's not actual action
I
item,
see.
metaphorically second that then.
Can I third?
the food's
Third.
Shelby,
Okay.
do you have anything?
I mean, are there
What?
other suggestions?
Yeah,
'Cause I'm
because
just
I know
looking
there
at
could be
hand.
suggestions.
where are other suggestions? That was just gonna be my
So we have
comment.
Yellow Church as one option.
Someone said Starlight was too noisy or something.
We went to Starlight for a show meeting with our speaker, and I couldn't hear more than like one person down from me because their music is so loud and there's always like stuff going on, which is why like their food is really good. But when you go with a big group, like you won't be able to talk to anyone besides someone like right next to you. Is the only thing.
just about the people you like.
I like everyone.
That could be a good
They're
thing
all my
depending on
friends.
how many people you
I
like.
have another suggestion. I think you said it earlier. The kebab house.
I've only been there once. I didn't like the layout.
Shelby?
I'm gonna suggest the Palace because I know like they have lots of room there.
And over the Palace.
I mean,
It's the
yeah,
only
it's
place
the
I know in
Palace,
Ellensburg.
It's
Is that another suggestion?
Eric?
This is mostly because I'm being funny. McDonald's.
It's cheap. But I've also been there a lot.
All right.
You all get one vote
Yeah.
by show of hand. We'll do McDonald's. So I'll take good. We're taking that off. So before I go through them, we have Yellow Church, Starlight, Kebab, and Palace.
Okay.
Yes.
So you each only get one vote. So all those in favor of Palace.
I'll vote for my own.
Okay. Kebab House. Starlight and Yellow Church. Yellow Church, fantastic. The only other comment, and again, I kind of already said it, but I'll put it under the public comment.
You're not going
No, I'm just.
Is again just as a point that we do probably want to be mindful for two reasons. One of us, and I appreciate us trying to be make good use of the time that we're here, but when we're voting on them, one, after the presenters have already left, they are unaware that we're voting on it. Which again, the idea isn't we're supposed to ask questions, but if they're anticipating we're coming the next week. The other one being, as an open public meeting, we do send notification in advance that is 24 hours notice. So anyone who was wanting to be present for the voting on it would anticipate it would be the following week and would be unaware. So wouldn't be able to be here to make any public comment to share with the committee. So just things to keep in mind. While it's allowable, it's probably not best practice.
That's fair.
Shelby?
Sorry, I didn't think.
So I guess just for clarification, we've tabled, what was it?
The first one.
Yes.
1852. But can we request that a representative comes back next week?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's all I have.
Alex?
Something from student government. We have an event going on. I'm sure some of you here are tired of hearing me talk about it, but we have the CWU Top Cats. This year, I believe the final budget hasn't been finalized, but we are giving scholarships away. We're looking at maybe about 5. Again, this is the proposal, but it hasn't been confirmed yet, but definite scholarships. We're looking at maybe about 5 $1,000 scholarships and 15 $500 scholarships. Applications are all available on the ACDU page underneath the projects tab. The applications are due on May 11th, and then the actual event is on May 25th.
Does this count for summer school? Because
If you are graduating, as my understanding, and I could be wrong, is that it actually would come back to graduating seniors in the form of a refund.
So we can still apply.
Wait,
So like
you
you're not
can
telling
still
all these
apply.
seniors to like
Seniors can apply.
As far as I
Okay.
know, this is applicable to everyone, graduating or not.
Yeah.
And this is Edith's thing or someone else?
It's Edith and I are co-working on it.
Oh, okay, but she's on it. Okay, that's what I thought.
Any further public comment? Moving into section 11, adjournment. I'd like to entertain a motion
So
for this
moved.
meeting. Julia seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Funny.
Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions?
No.
This meeting's adjourned at 7:02.